Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Element 115, Nanu Nanu. That just means greetings, welcome. If you know what that means, then you're showing your age. It was in a um, sitcom, late 70s, maybe early 80s, with Robin Williams, and he was played an alien. So I can't remember the name of the actual TV show, but he would always say "Nanu, Nanu." That's like "Hello, how you guys doing?" So I just want to add some humor there. But if you're new to this channel, if you're coming back to this channel, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for taking a look at my video. I really appreciate it. I would love for you to be a sub. Um, I'm trying to get up to 500 subscribers. Right now, I just have 10, but hey, I'm excited about those 10. And I would like to thank those 10 for subscribing. It's free. You don't have to do anything. Just subscribe. That way, it helps me um, monetize my videos once I get 500 or more subs. So I really appreciate that, guys. Um, I've also in the description, I've left my cash tag. If you want to donate to my young channel to help me out, I would really appreciate it. But if not, please just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. So I got something special here. It's we're going to be looking at the abduction and interaction um, of Peter Khoury, and there's actually physical evidence of hybrids that he got. Now, I don't know how in the world I'm just coming by this. I don't know how in the world this people have not heard his story before, but let me tell you guys, it is in depth and it is serious, and he's got evidence, guys, evidence of hybrids. I mean, I can't believe I've never heard of this until like maybe probably about 2 weeks ago. I saw this interview. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm not going to start from the beginning. It is maybe about 2.5 hour interview. However, we're just going to go to the spot in the interview where he starts talking about his 1992 abduction or incident with two female um, aliens or entities, whatever you want to call them, right? So, and if you want to watch the full video, I'm going to leave that link in the description. And I'd like to thank the gentleman that did this interview. I mean, it's a very genuine interview. It's almost like two friends sitting at the table talking. His channel is called the UFOzzies, and that's TheUFOzzie. But I'll leave the description. I'll leave the link in the description. Will leave my cash tag in for a Cash App in the description as well. If you just want to donate, I would appreciate it. It's going to help my content. This is going to be like my fourth video. I'm just doing this with a Google Chromebook. I got a mic, cheapest mic I can get probably off Amazon, and a light. So I'm learning. So hopefully my quality will get better. I joined StreamYard, so my quality, my sound and my audio and all that should get better. So please just subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But let's get in here. Let's react to this and see how in the world he got evidence, DNA evidence, guys, of hybrids. Okay, so let's go in here and let's listen to him. And he's a great storyteller. And let's see what's going on here. And you guys tell me in the comments what you think, and also why in the world is this not a bigger story? This happened in 1992. Now, the DNA evidence that he got in 1992, of course, then he really couldn't do anything with it. But now he did something with it because he kept the evidence, guys. He kept the evidence. So let's listen. Let's get in here and listen, guys.
It will go to 1992 now. We get married, I move to this house. Okay, so it's the bedroom in there where it happened. And one day, one day, 92, I had an incident at work on a job site where I was attacked by three people. I was, that's a damage on my arm with a broken bottle. Yep. I got stabbed in the chest. I got hit on the head with a shovel, sharp edge, twice. Third time I blocked it and fractured my thumb. It would have killed me for sure. I was in the back of an ambulance and I could hear two female paramedics saying, "What a shame," at my age at the time. And they're saying, like, a young man and he's a hairline away from death. That's what I could hear. So,
Mm,
anyway,
mm.
I had the injuries. I was recovering. I was on meds. Doctor even put me on Prozac. Now, I took one Prozac tablet and I
Now, guys, that's why it's important that you go back and listen to the whole interview. Um, seems like he used to be I wouldn't say a bad gentleman, but let's just say he wasn't hanging out with the right crowd from when he was young until I would say I think until he was in his late 30s or something. It seems like he definitely ran with the wrong crowd. So he's got some. That's why it's important for you guys to go back and listen to the whole video, the whole interview, because I mean it's mesmerizing. His story, his life. It's really interesting. But let's get back at watch this 1992 interaction or abduction or whatever you want to call it.
thought that it's still in the drawer, and it could be in one of the drawers. I'm not sure, but I took one Prozac tablet, and then just happened 2 days later to read an article on the effects of Prozac, and it was Lady Diana who was talking about it. She's saying what effect it had on her, and it wasn't very good. She had side effects, bad ones, and I thought to myself, no, I'm not using this, and I put it in the drawer and I left it there. So, but I was on Panadine Ford. I had massive head injuries. I had bruising on the brain. I had fractured skull.
So would you consider it a near-death experience almost?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because I was in and out of consciousness, and you know, but anyway, it's a hard thing to talk about because it cost me 3 years of my life where I didn't work, and we struggled a lot because we had a mortgage, and financially we just weren't. Yeah, it was a lot of strain. I'm surprised we stayed together through that, to be honest. But anyway, um, so I'm recovering from my injuries, and one day I'm at home. I had to drive Vivian to the station, which is at Regent's Park Station, which is like 5 minute drive. And I was feeling fine. I mean, okay, I had the head injuries. I was recovering. It wasn't intense, like the first day or the first week of the injury. I was getting over it. Anyway, I get up, I jump in the car, I drive to um, Regent's Park Station, and the further I got away from home, as we're driving.
Now, before you guys, you know, jump to conclusions um, about, well, this happened when he was on heavy meds. He had bruising on the brain. He was in bad physical condition. However, he said he was getting over it, and he drove his wife to the station. I guess it's a train station or whatever it is. So he was well enough to get behind the wheel, drive his wife to the station, and drive back. So obviously, this is not in the middle of his recovery. Seems like it's at the end of his recovery. So he's in a better state. He's getting well. He's not 100%, but he's definitely not, only 20%. better. You know what I mean? So I don't think this has to do with medication. I don't think this has to do with anything that happened in the incident where he got stabbed and, you know, the bruising on the brain. I think I just want to make that, you know, make that case that he's not, you know, in some type of weird state. I think he's almost better. So he was able to drive his wife to the station. So
driving, we got to the corner. I had to pull up and vomit, open the car door and just vomit. And I thought, oh, that's strange, you know. And I put it down to maybe head injury, you know. So every time we drove, I'd say 10, 20 meters, I'd have to open the door and vomit. I don't know where it was coming from, but there was a lot of yellowy green vile stuff. And I reckon I stopped between 20 and 30 times on a 5-minute drive, pull up, vomit, drive a couple of minutes, pull up, vomit. And it was getting worse and worse as I was getting further away from home and closer to the station. And like I was vomiting more instead of less, because you think it's all coming out of you. You know, by that stage, you'd be just, you know, vomiting a little bit, but it was a lot. Anyway, as I was coming back, what I noticed, I started vomiting, but the closer I was getting to home, the less I'd vomit and the more distance I covered. So I was getting better the closer I got. I have a theory that I think they were interacting with me on an astral soul level, and by my physical body leaving, I was still there with them in my astral self. And I'll come to that in a sec. And I reckon the further I got from my soul or astral body, or whatever you want to call it,
The sicker you were
the
physically.
sicker I was physically. And the closer we're coming back, the better I felt. So anyway, I open the door, I walk into my bedroom, and I felt, you know, I've been vomiting and that. I thought, oh crap, I just went and lied in bed, and I put the quilt over me, and I would have been in bed a couple of minutes.
now, when he's talking about they were communicating with him on an astral level. I guess that means kind of like his soul was still at home. I'm guessing. I I really didn't understand that part. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments what he was. You know what he was. Maybe you guys can describe it better than he did. Because that's one thing out of this whole interview that I had trouble with understanding. But I understand it, but I don't know how you physically leave your soul back at a home. You know, I could see maybe if you had an out of body experience when you're physically there and your soul leaves, but when you turn it around, that was kind of I had trouble understanding that. But maybe one of you guys could explain it to me better in the comments.
Minutes, no more than 4 or 5 minutes. And I felt like something jumped on the bed, like a pet, a cat or a dog would. And I felt an indentation on the mattress. I could feel it. And I thought, we don't have pets. But then the thought instantly came to my head that when I opened the door, did a cat sneak in, and I didn't notice, you know, because I wasn't with it. So I thought, no, we don't have any pets. So I've gone to sit up to see what's going on. And I was no longer under the sheets. I'm on top of the sheets. And what I noticed as I sat, I saw my astral body. I'll call it my astral body, but it was my soul. And I could see it. And it was like in stages. It was like bang, 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 bang. And I could see an image of me, like a number of images of me, but um, transparent images, like glass. And then as I sat up and I started to catch up with one of them after the other, and I became one.
Like you synced up.
Yeah, I'm back there now. I'm one person.
Yeah.
My soul and my body have caught up because I just sat up and caught up. As soon as that happened, I look and I see a female straddling me naked. And I look on the side of the bed. Say that's the bed. I'm here. There's one here straddling me. and there's one sitting here with she had her knees tucked under her, and she had her hands just like you take an old, school photo in primary school with your hands on your cupped on your knees.
Now, guys, that is. Let's take a look at that picture again. Let me see if I can get back to that picture that they had up. Just very odd. Very odd. So he's got a female straddling him. And listen to how he talks about the female, and describes what she looks like. And there's not just one, there's two. I wanted to get those pictures. Let me see if I can move it back here a little bit for you guys. Maybe I can. Let's see. Let's see if we can play it right there. Let's see where we're at. Oh, I hope I didn't go too far. Hold on, guys. Okay, let's see.
I didn't know if someone broke into my house and was in here or whatever. I just thought, how the hell did you get into my house? And as I'm thinking that, I see her cup her hand, her fingers, she cups her fingers like that, locks them together behind my head, and drags me over to her left breast and buries my face into her breast. I'm claustrophobic at the best of time. Look, I've been in incidents where I've been at work where there was armed robbery. I had a shotgun to my head for 7 minutes in an 8-minute robbery. Handled it. I got references from people saying that, I saved their lives, or they didn't feel any threat because I was dealing with it. But I can deal with those situations. But my kryptonite is being restrained.
Claustrophobic.
Or claustrophobic, yeah. And as soon as she buried my face into her breast, I couldn't breathe. And I was trying to push away from her, and I couldn't. And then I used all my strength, and I pushed away. And as I pushed away, I took a deep breath. And then she brought me back to her breast the second time. And it was harder for me to push away. And I'm struggling to breathe. And I don't know if you're claustrophobic or you know anyone. It doesn't take 5.
You can tell, guys, that he's told this story before, but however, he seems to be getting a little emotional. Um, I mean, this is very odd. You know, I mean, if something like that happened to me, yes. But you could tell he's getting emotional about it, because it really did scare him to be, you know, have his face buried in 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 someone's breast, but to the point where you can't breathe. And I think he explains how strong she is, but she's holding them, and I'm the same way. I cannot stand to be um, like closed in. I will go crazy. So I'm just like him. So I understand the fear that he had in that incident. I mean, in that special in that occasion.
5 minutes for you to start freaking out. As soon as you can't breathe or you're restrained, it's instant.
Instant panic, yeah.
It's irrational, I know, but that's what happens. It's a phobia for a reason, irrational fear of something. I believe it stems from all my experiences where I'm paralyzed, I'm on the table, I've got a light above me, like dentist. I freak out at a dentist, not because I'm scared of the needles or the pain, because as soon as they lay me back in that.
No, guys, I watched the whole interview. So what he's talking about is his other interactions with these entities. But in those incidents, they didn't have, he didn't get any DNA evidence or anything like that. So I'm actually focusing on the 1992 interaction where he got the evidence. But he's just explaining, he can't stand big lights. All this has to do, and all these other things that remind him of his abductions. So let's see what else he has to say.
Light
It's
is
like a
above me, and I can
PTSD
see it. Yeah,
trigger. Yeah.
it triggers me big time.
So she's cupped you and pulled you
She's
forward a
cupped me
second
for the
time.
second time, and I've pushed away. I was able to push away, but I had to use all my strength. And then the third time, she just buried my face in her breast, and I couldn't breathe. And I'm trying to push. I'm like, my hand, I felt her body. I felt how strong she felt. I'm trying to push away, and I couldn't. So, and this is where a lot of people, I want to get this right. This is where a lot of people accuse me of being like, oh, what a sexual deviant, who would bite someone. I'm not sexually biting a partner while while we're in the act. It's not my thing. It's not something I do to every woman I meet. I go, hey, let me bite you on the body or whatever. It's not my thing. But it was
Whoever says that isn't just an absolute idiot. He had no other way to get out. It's not like he's turned on by biting people during sex or intercourse or something like that. This is actually whoever thinks that after hearing this man's story is an idiot. I mean, he felt like that it was the only way out. You know, so I mean, he was this really happened to him, guys. Um, and I mean, I feel for him. It's I know a lot of people will joke and say, "You got two aliens. It's every man's dream." It's not a dream for somebody to be in a situation where you feel like your life is at stake, but yet someone's trying to have intercourse with you. I mean, and smother you. I don't understand. I don't know how that could be arousing to anyone.
dealing mechanism. That's the only way I could deal
Defense
with it.
mechanism, yeah.
If it's a defense mechanism,
get
I
out
had
of
to
it.
breathe. I couldn't breathe. And so as I'm pushing away, and got to a point where I thought, I'm not going to be able to push away from her. She's burying my face in there. I'm suffocating. No, I didn't bite. I didn't open my mouth and take a bite. It was like a nip. It was just, put my two teeth and just nipped. Just took a little pinch. Call it a pinch. And but I did feel like something hit the back of my throat. And as soon as that happened, it felt like I drank acid. It felt like I took, hydrochloric acid or something, and it hit the back of my throat and it just started burning. Like I've never had anything like that in my life, where my throat was on fire. And
Did it feel like you swallowed something?
it felt like I swallowed something. Yeah.
Solid?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you if it was flexible like flesh and that, but there was definitely something, and it was burning. I tend to think it was, it's going to sound great anyway. I tend to think it was maybe like a Viagra or something like that, because later on I had an erection for 6 hours, and a painful, very painful erection for 6 hours after the incident happened, when they were all gone and dusted. And I rang my partner at the time, and I'm talking to her, and I'll get to that in a sec. Anyway, so yeah, I feel something hit the back of my throat. I got this burning sensation. It's like acid.
Now, guys, you got to remember something. I don't think anything like that was on the market in 1992. So you got to think something like that would be, I mean, very something that we had not come across yet. I don't think there was pills like that to help you get an erection or anything like that in 1992. I mean, there could have been. I was a young boy during 1992, but I don't think there was medication like that. So, I mean, that's got to be something that he's going through after they had left, that he's still dealing with. And he said, you could tell it in his face. It was painful.
acid burning me, and I start coughing, and then instantly the two of them start telepathically communicating, not talking, telepathically, and I can understand, I can hear what they're saying. I'm not hearing voices. I can't hear their voices talking to each other, but I know what they're saying to each other. And the blonde one was actually saying, and I'll give a description of what they look like in a sec, but the blonde one was actually saying, he's done this wrong. This is wrong. This is not the way it's supposed to happen. He's done this wrong. This isn't like the last time. He's done this wrong. Something's gone wrong. And again, I'm thinking, what fucking last time? Like, they're the things coming through my
what's
mind.
going on?
Now, just a quick description of what they look like. The blonde female was very well built, fantastic body. Like, if you're going to build something to interact with people from other races and be sexual, you're going to make them look good. You're not going to make them look frightening, you know. So very, very well proportioned body, very attractive. She had what I described, her hair was like Farrah Fawcett Majors from Charlie's Angels. You know, that blown away. It looks like it's the wind's blowing it, and it was like, you know, if you look at Farrah Fawcett in Charlie's Angels, you'll see what I mean. And milky white skin, and I mean milky white skin, flawless. I could not see a mark on her face, on her skin, anywhere. And well proportioned breasts. Actually, the way I described it early on, which was a little bit amateurish, but if you got the old Kookaburra footballs that they used to use, the leather ones, and you cut it in half, and you put one there, that there was no gravity where she was from. I'm telling you, there was no gravity whatsoever. They were like jutting out. She was in her 20s, so she would have been fit, you know, like very attractive looking. But her features were somewhat a bit odd, not funny or ugly or anything, very attractive, but different than a human. It so much different than a human, where the cheekbones were high, big cheekbones. There was thinner face, and then it came to not a pointy chin like a witch's chin, but a more pointier than ours, you know. The nose was a longer nose. It was longer than ours, but it suited her perfectly because she had a longer, you know, the singer Cher, very similar in that length of the face and the features, the cheeks. Her lips were normal, perfect lips. Her eyes, I say 2 to 3 times bigger than a human, only because I think she was in shock and her eyes opened. But I'd say at least twice the size of a human's eyes. I've never seen a color like them. My partner has tried many, many times to get colors, and she puts them on, you know, the AI is trying to get
Blue? You like blue?
I've got to find the blue because it was the most amazing color. I've never seen eyes like that. And it was her eye, her pupil area was like a beautiful, beautiful blue. It was almost, if it's not this blue, but imagine that's the eye. And then around it, all the white part had faded into the lighter blue of that blue.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, I couldn't see any actual white in her eyes. It was just blue.
So it was a color you'd never seen before.
Nah.
Yeah.
And I've looked at color charts, and I've tried to match it, and it was just like a vibrant. I don't know. I see a lot of people through my work. I work security. See a lot of young people with contact lenses, especially Asian girls, like Korean girls. They like to use them. I've still yet to see that color. I see the cat's eyes. I see the different things, but I've never seen that color. And
what's her hair, blonde as well?
blonde hair, well, white hair more so.
White hair.
It was whitish hair, and her hair wasn't only white. It was very flimsy, and to me it reminded me of a very, very thin fishing line. Like, I mean, a very, very thin.
Okay.
Transparent.
So transparent. Okay.
It was transparent, yeah. And as I'm looking at her body, I'm looking down at her. I mean, she's sitting right onto me. She's this far from me, you know. I noticed she didn't have a belly button. No belly button at all. Her stomach was just, I didn't see a mark on there. And then I look over at the one on the other side of the bed, which is on the right side. Asian looking, black hair in a page boy haircut.
Like a bob.
Yeah, dark black hair. She had darker skin tone, right? Could have been on this planet and they took her with them to maybe teach, to maybe learn. I don't know.
Okay.
But she looked feature wise and the color of her skin, she was Asian appearance. But her eyes were a bit funny again. They were different.
Were they bigger?
They were bigger and they were dark. Like I saw a little bit of white on the edges of her eyes, but basically it was just black.
Like a shark almost. With your eyes fill up black.
Yeah, just dark. And in the corners I might have seen a bit lighter colors, but normal nose, normal mouth, and then the way she was sitting, it looked like she might have been pregnant.
She had like a bit of a pop
She had
belly.
a bit of a belly, yeah. And when I was looking, I was thinking, is she overweight or is she pregnant? But I had the feeling she might have been pregnant. I also picked up on one was learning from the other. One was showing the other what to do or how to do it, the act itself, I don't like to talk about the sexual side of it. That affected my kids a little bit, and I had to be careful what I say there because there's something that leads to 14 years down the track where I actually meet a child that's supposed to be mine, and didn't go down too well with the kids. So I've got to be careful about that. But yeah, anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm hearing them communicate telepathically to each other, and then there's personal stuff that's been said to me, but it was so quick. Like I was thinking, it was like birds chirping when they're talking, to a point where you think, I'm not going to understand a word you're saying, and then you get the feeling you will when the time's right.
Guys, it is amazing how detailed his description is. And I've also seen another interview with him, and his description of these two entities never changes. I mean, it's just so detailed. I mean, it's actually amazing. I can't remember what someone looks like, 3 days if I'm, 3 days ago. But that's how I think how it has affected him so much that I'm sure he's been through where they, put you to sleep and, psychiatrists and go over what happened. And I'm sure he's recalled memories that way. But I mean, it's just so specific because I think it was so traumatic, for him. But let's see where this evidence comes up. Let's see what's going on. That's what I'm waiting for.
Right, you will. And I'm just sitting there basically just thinking, this is bad enough as it is, and now you're giving me information in a split second, and I'm supposed to process all this. But I got told when my marriage would end.
So they're giving you this information and they're still there communicating with each other as well.
Yes.
What happens after that?
They're talking to each other, they're communicating as well, and I'm coughing. I start coughing and I couldn't hold it anymore. It was burning my throat so bad. And I'm looking down as I'm coughing. Of course, like I'm coughing down. I look up, they're gone, vanished. Just as quick as they entered my room, they vanished. I couldn't tell you how they got there and how they left. I didn't see them go through a wall, a window, or just poof, disappear. I was looking down when it happened. And then I had the urge to come out and drink some water to try and wash whatever was burning my throat. So I came out into the kitchen behind me, and I grabbed a bit of water and a bit of Lebanese bread, and I thought it'll wash it down. I'll eat some bread and drink and I'll wash it down. And I had the bread, but as soon as I drank the water, it fired up. like it was as if I poured fuel on the fire. It didn't.
Inflamed it.
It inflamed it big time, and it just started burning more. And I was coughing. I remember leaning over the sink, coughing, and I must have coughed for like 5 minutes straight. And I noticed like my kidneys and my insides were hurting, my organs. And the more I coughed, I'd have coughing fit for 20 minutes. And anyway, I because I had drank water, I felt like I needed to use the bathroom. So I walked in the toilet, and when you're getting ready to pee and you get a bit of build up, mate, it felt like, look, I'm going to be open and just say I'm not going to beat around the bush. It felt like my penis had been slashed with razors. It was so painful.
Wow.
And obviously I looked, and I didn't pee because I held it because it was so painful. So I looked, and when I looked, I saw something on my penis.
Yeah.
There was a hair that was like an S on there, right on the shaft. It was like an S, and there was another one that was sort of half wrapped, but they were embedded into my foreskin. Underneath my foreskin. It was like if you pressed with your nail, and you'll get that indentation. They were embedded in, like the hairs weren't just sitting there. I could just take them out and put them. They were embedded in, and I stood there, and as I tried to grab the hair and lift it, it was like tears just started pouring down. I was crying from the pain. It was so painful, but I was able to peel it. And
If you're a male and you're watching this, you know how painful. When he talks about when he had to urinate, how painful it felt like it was, something was slashed with razors. I mean, if you're a male, you know what that feels like, and that is very painful. Now, I don't know when he's talking about these hairs. I don't. I don't like to talk about this, but honestly, listening to him, it seems like he hasn't been circumcised because he says the foreskin. I have been circumcised, so I don't know what that would feel like. But obviously, it's very painful. But this is the evidence. I think this is possibly the evidence that he's talking about.
And I went and put them in the two hairs. It took me a while to get. It was the most excruciating pain I've been through. So anyway, I grabbed them and I put them straight away into a bag. I sealed it, and I wrote a note on the bag and taped it to it. Date, time that I believed it was from the females. Anyway, I walked out. I sat down in the lounge for about 20 minutes, and then I called my ex that was at work, my ex-wife. She was at work. I said to her, look, when I'm ready to talk to you about this, put them two and two together, and just remember the coughing fits. Like, that's a big part of it. She was like, yeah, okay. Took me 3 weeks before I got not worked up the courage to speak to her when I was ready to speak to her, but I did feel guilty. I thought, how is she going to handle it? 2 females in your bedroom, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it sounds
sometimes
bad.
I would have liked to hear, 2 males in the bedroom with my wife. Like, it's, yeah. But
No doubt, no
anyway,
doubt.
it took me 3 weeks, and when I ended up sitting down and talking to her about it, she blew me away. Her reasoning for it was like, okay, first of all, you didn't instigate it. You didn't call them to come in and do this. It's out of your control completely. There's nothing we can do about it. Just got to live with it. And I was like, okay, that's a good way to handle it. It took me, I spoke to Professor John Mack about it, sat down and had a talk to him about it, but I kept it pretty quiet and private. I didn't want to discuss it with too many people, and I didn't even Bill Chalker. I didn't talk to him about it. Now, couple of years later, we were doing we had 2 female producers that wanted to do a documentary. So they came over to my house, and we're in the lounge room, standing there talking. And one of them, all they were worried about, they wanted to buy these T-shirts that had the many moods of an alien, and it was all the same face. there was like about 30 faces, but they were all the same. And it says the different moods of an alien. And they wanted to buy him and give him to the producers at Channel 7. I was like, okay. And then one of them off the cuff, she just says, "Oh, Peter, you know what? If this is really happening to people, there should be some physical evidence, like a sexual assault case."
Yeah.
She goes, "You know how there's sperm or there's hair?" And it just triggered me. It irked me, mate. And I said, "Do you want to see evidence? I'll show you evidence." Now, I've kept this quiet for so long. I said, "I'll show you evidence." I went and grabbed the hair, in the bag. Like, once they had a look, whatever, they left. He was like, why haven't you told me about this? And I said, "Bill, my 88 experience was hard enough to deal with. This thing is a whole different can of worms." And I really didn't want to talk about it. And he's like, "Fair enough." So he kept it in the back of his mind. Years later, I think it was maybe 5, 6 years later, Bill, I get a call from Bill, and he's like, "Listen, have you still got that hair sample?" I said, "Yeah, of course I have samples." I said, "Yeah, of course I have." And he said, "Look, I'm working with some colleagues who are biochemists, and they'd like to."
So the incident happened in 1992. If he's saying 5, 6 years later, so you're talking, 1998, 99. I think so. I'm not sure about the timeline, but that's when probably DNA started to be a big thing, I would say. So I don't think in 1992, I don't think that was around, or if it was, inside information about DNA getting out. So let's hear what they're going to do with it.
Test the hair. He was sort of questioning me, thinking I'm going to say no way because I don't want it tested. I don't want anything proved. And he said, "Look, the team's called APEG, and if you're interested, I trust them. If you want, I can do the testing and I'll do it for free. But they want to DNA test the hairs." And I jumped at the opportunity. Didn't even have to think twice about it. I said, "Yeah, mate, come and pick them up, and let's see what happens." Because I knew where they came from. I knew it wasn't from my partner or anything like.
See, that's a guy that is very confident. You know, um, he's like, I know it wasn't my partner. I know they weren't mine, and he's so confident. I think if maybe later on or before, somewhere in the interview, he talks about he took a lie detector test, and he passed. Um, he actually went on. I think he went on a TV show there. He lives in Australia now. He's Lebanese, but he lives in Australia. I think he moved to Australia when he was a young kid, like 8 or 9 or something like that. So he's Australian. So and maybe that's one of the reasons why I hadn't heard of the story until like I said, like 2 weeks ago. Um, but him being so confident in the way he talks and the way he wanted to have this hair tested. I mean, guys, this happened, and we have to take this seriously. I mean, this actually, I mean, it was a sexual assault. I mean, abductions are kidnapping. Um, you know, I mean, I don't know how else to, put it. These things are happening to people, and people are telling the truth. I know there's some people that are, not telling the truth. They want the attention, but I mean, plainly, you can tell this gentleman is confident. Peter is confident, and he's like, "Yeah, give me a lie detector test. Yes, test the DNA on the hair." So let's see if what I mean, I remember watching this, but I don't know actually what the DNA test came back and said verbatim, but I do remember that this evidence is just shocking.
Like that. So one day Bill came over, picked up the hairs, and then they went and did some testing. Then he came back another time with one of the scientists, and they took hair samples from me. They took hair samples from my wife at the time. Nothing matched that whatever they got in the DNA anyway. But so this would have been 1990, probably 97 when this happened. And then all the testing that was done, I wasn't expecting too much. I just thought it'll come back human or, normal hair. And then one day Bill called me and he said, listen, we got some really strange results here. And he said, and we even got, when they did the nuclear DNA, because they tested the shaft of the hair, then the root of the hair.
Yeah.
And they got the completely different DNA where the root was tall, blonde, Scandinavian looking,
So I believe it's a Gaelic Basque.
Gaelic Basque.
Rare ethnic group.
That's right, yeah. And then the shaft of the hair showed the rarest Chinese mitochondrial DNA. Now, I had
So there were two different individuals
in the one hair.
DNA in one hair.
In the one hair. Now, that's impossible. Your hair, my hair will have that one.
Did you hear that, guys? Two individuals in the one hair. And the two individuals are just like he's, described, the blonde hair, and then the Asian. But if you have a DNA test, you test my hair, it's going to be all me. I mean, you're talking about two different people in one hair. That's unheard of. But it proves, that this happened to him. I mean, it's proof. And I'm just so shocked that this is not, everybody hasn't heard of this story, because we hear of other stories where people don't have this type of evidence to back it up, but yet this one has the evidence. And I'm just now hearing of this 2 weeks ago. I don't understand that. Also, if you guys are into books, I don't know if there is a book on this. It's called The Hair of the Alien, DNA and Other Forensic Evidence of Alien Abduction. And it's by Bill, looks like Chalker. And I'm sure you can get that on Amazon, Audible, if you want to just listen to it. And I'm sure you can get it on Amazon.com, the actual book. So I heard it's a good read. So I might actually read the whole thing. But I've listened to the whole interview, and you guys should too. But this is actually amazing, guys. I mean, listen to what else they have to say about it. Incredible.
It'd be one person.
That's it. And then they went one further and they tested for the gene deletion, the CCR5, and they discovered that. And when I had there was a panel of researchers, some were from overseas that were here on conferences and that. They sat at a panel and I sat in front of them.
No, guys, that last chart that they pulled up was saying that in the hair that they found is the person, or the DNA that they found is resistant to AIDS. They can't catch AIDS. It's the hair whom it's from, they're resistant to AIDS. I thought that was amazing because you're talking about, possible physical and intercourse with somebody, with these aliens or entities. It would be right if they did their homework to make sure that they were resistant to HIV. I mean, that's amazing.
And they just hit me with questions for about 3-4 hours, and they were making notes, and I was giving them all the information that I could. And one of the things I said to them, because she didn't have a belly button, and I remember saying,
Mm,
whoever made them for a reason, to sexually interact with people. And I
mm,
was insinuating that they were clones, but not knowing that I'm saying that, because cloning hadn't evolved, it hadn't blown onto the scene. Dolly the sheep was cloned, I think, in '93. First time the Dolly I think that was 1993. So I didn't know anything about DNA or about testing or anything.
You're just a regular guy.
No, I don't know
Right.
anything about it. Yeah, and so when he came back with all those results, and he said, "Mate, this is really interesting, and it backs your case. There obviously something happened to you, and you got evidence to back it up."
mm-hmm.
So it just opened a whole new, basically, Pandora's box for me, because there was so much. It was a rabbit hole that goes on forever, and I didn't want to go down there, but I had no choice. But
It was kind of confirmation of the reality of the experience.
100%, that you can't
That's
doubt
got to
that
feel
something
good.
happened. Now, if people want to interpret the DNA results in any way they want, they can, but it proves that something physically happened to me with those two females, and I didn't have control of what was going on, obviously. But lucky for me, I have conscious
That's
recall. I can remember. I could have thought it was a dream and let it go at that, and just not worried.
But there was hair.
But those two hair samples, I knew where they
that.
came from. I have no doubt, and that's why I went ahead
That's got to
and
be
remember. I could have thought it was a
great
dream and let it go at that, and just not
feeling to
worried.
know
But
that
there was hair.
But those two hair samples,
the
I knew
evidence
where they
backed
came
up his
from.
story.
I have no doubt, and that's why I went ahead and tested. I went out on the limb, because I took a big chance, because if those hair samples came,
I mean, guys, I just think this is so awesome that, like, for all those people that were doubting him, you know, he could bring that to them and say, look, this is evidence. And I just think that's awesome. I mean, it probably had to be a, oh, thank God I'm not going crazy. This did happen to me, because he's probably doubting himself. Like, oh my God, like, what the hell's going on? And that's got to be a wonderful feeling to get that evidence back. I mean, I think it's crazy that this evidence was left, and it's the evidence that's left. You have um, the two females on one hair, their DNA is on it. That's like impossible. But that shows the evidence that backs up that this did happen to this guy. I know that feels good, Peter. I'm telling you.
came back as normal human,
And your marriage.
my marriage, I'd have to a lot of explaining, not just to my wife. She trusted me, but to a lot of people. They would have made accusations. They still do now, And I've been separated from my wife now for 8.5 years. She's never said a bad word. And that was a question Bill asked me early on. He said, "Oh, what's Vivian going to say now that you're getting divorced, you're separated?" I said, "But she'll still tell the truth."
I wanted to ask, so I guess for people that are watching this with the DNA testing, it's quite complex in terms of how the results are, I guess, displayed and what they mean.
Mm.
And you were talking there about the CCR5 gene deletion, which was basically in the nuclear DNA testing, there were 2 gene deletions in the CCR5 protein.
Yeah.
Now that's very abnormal, extremely peculiar. And
Very rare. Yeah.
the reason being is that makes whatever that entity was, if that DNA belongs to them, it means that they are immune to HIV,
Sexually transmitted.
sexually transmitted disease, other viruses like smallpox,
Yeah.
which kind of almost indicates what you were sort of saying with they didn't have a belly button.
Yeah.
Do you think these beings were designed essentially to maybe actually have sex with people
I have no doubt.
and maybe even collect DNA?
Yeah, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Wow.
Some people say, oh, if they're that advanced, why would they need to collect? They can produce clones or whatever. But I mean, I don't know much about cloning and they degrade or whatever. You can't just keep copying something. But look, that's the method that they use, the PCR method, which Dr. Kerry Mullis came up with, invented, and he's had his own experiences as well that
That's
he's
Well, guys, I mean, it's evidence, and it's there. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please go and check this out, the full interview. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. It's a genuine conversation with two guys. I think you're gonna really understand, some of this by his other interactions with these entities, the other situations that he went through. But I just wanted to go over the actual incident where he did get the DNA, and it did come back as some DNA, or the entity of this DNA was exactly the two women on one hair strand, and also it is immune to sexually transmitted diseases. So, are they cloning? Are the aliens cloning women to have sex with men, or intercourse with men and women? I've heard as well too, to get hybrids out there. We could stay on this topic for hours because it's a deep rabbit hole. But let me know what you guys think about this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go to the UFOzzies channel on YouTube and watch this whole video, because you're going to really enjoy it. And thank you so much for watching. I'm getting better, I hope, as far as my recording and my quality goes. And please, guys, if you could please give me a sub, please. Subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And you guys be safe. And remember, Nanu, Nanu.